Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 38th episode of the Gateway Podcast. So, for those who don't know, the Gateway Podcast is a one-on-one podcast where we talk about our guests' personal journey with StarCraft and video games in general. But of course, like any podcast, we are free to wander wherever the conversation leads us. I'm your host, again, Necro, and with me today, I have a member of the community who's been a content creator for many years now, and we'll go through a lot of his work today. Seemingly everyone has heard of his name, or rather his username. It is. Nice username. How's it going, dude?
It's great, man. Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited.
Oh,
Yeah.
I am super excited as well. Oh, by the way, do I call you nice username or Joey, or what do you prefer?
Well, yeah, my name is Joey, and my screen name is nice username. Joey's probably easier. So
Yeah.
let's do that.
Yeah, it's just we're not. I don't know what the level of buddy we have to be to like, call you by your first name. I don't know how that works, but
We're already there.
yeah. All right, awesome. Yeah. So I just came off of watching that new Rank Roulette episode. I don't know if you've been following that series.
A little bit. I am a big fan of Harston's channel. I'm really impressed with what they're doing over there. It's a good series. It's good stuff.
For sure, for sure. They just released the finals. I think a little bit under an hour ago, so I just watched that. I was pretty hyped. No, hopefully that doesn't spoil the results.
Yeah, no spoilers. No spoilers.
No
I'm very
spoilers.
curious.
Yeah. It was actually really good. They all had like a great guesses. I was actually very impressed. But
Yeah, they're doing great things on that channel right now.
But yeah, for sure. So of course, to you as well. Thank you very much for coming on. I kind of start with this icebreaker question for most podcasts. But what series of events led you to StarCraft 1 or StarCraft 2?
Oh man, so it's actually kind of interesting. I really do go pretty far back to Brood War. I think I was like 11 years old, and I'm 29 now. So it's been a while. Brood War really captured me. It's actually Warcraft 2. I was in a rec center, like a gym type of place, but they had some computers upstairs where you could rent a game and play. And I was just kind of hanging out with some friends, and I would go over there and see what's going on. I love gaming even as a kid, 10, 11 years old. And I saw some people playing Warcraft 2, and I was like, this looks sick. What is this game?
Yeah.
And I'm watching some Warcraft 2, the BattleNet edition. So this is like my first introduction to the genre, in a sense, on a PC at least. And I was just really like captured by Warcraft 2, and then I think I came back the next week and someone was playing Brood War, and I was like, oh my god, this is the same game. It's just so much better. I loved the theme more for StarCraft. It was just it's just newer, better game. And I remember like being so I wanted it so bad, but it was just a game you could play at the rec center. And it's kind of funny because it was almost like a PC cafe kind of thing back then, where you would just see other dudes playing. But yeah, so I remember, man, that I wanted it so bad. I was like, how can I like steal this game out of the rec center? and I was an innocent little child. Like I had never really had thoughts like that, but I really wanted it so bad.
Yeah.
I ended up getting a legit copy, of course. I just asked my parents.
Yeah.
But I really just saw someone else playing on a public PC, and he was like telling me a little bit about the game, but it was just some guy I didn't even know. And ever since then, I couldn't stop playing. Yeah, I got Brood War shortly after that, and I remember telling my mom I was sick so I could stay home and play Brood War.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
If I was, you said, were you 11? No, wait. When did the Warcraft 2 thing happen at the PC place?
Yeah, I was about 11 years old. I remember I was like in 5th grade.
Yeah.
So
If I know,
had to be 2002, 1.
Oh, okay, yeah. I know if I was 11 and I wanted to like steal a game, I would bring a USB key and I would copy the desktop icon into the USB key, and I would be like, this is gonna work. I swear to God.
Oh man, I think I've done that myself.
Yeah, that was totally me. It's actually I was gonna say that it's a slightly. I was gonna say similar story to me, but with like Warcraft 3, because I'm younger than you, so I'm literally just that generation right after.
Yeah.
But I had a similar experience where I was like, how do I get this game? Because like I know my parents weren't super into buying video games for me unless I gave them very compelling arguments as to why this game would improve my knowledge of life or something like that.
Sure.
So yeah, so I had to like figure out how to like crack it. Actually, my brother helped me with that. So so that was the version I could do. Um, yeah, shit, that's awesome. And like, were you kind of already into the when you started playing like Brood War and stuff? Were you already playing with friends? Like, were you just playing the campaign? Were you in the editor a lot already in there, or like, how did that go down?
Yeah, so throughout those years when I was younger playing Brood War, I played campaign just like everyone else. Campaign was fantastic. And pretty shortly thereafter, I got on to BattleNet when we had a computer at home that was connected to the PC, and this was sort of a new thing.
Mm-hmm.
Having access to the internet, even
Yeah.
as a kid, was like a sort of a. I was like, wow, I could do this. And then I got in BattleNet and I started chatting, and that was a whole, I opened a whole world to me. I was like, oh my god, there's chat rooms. You
Yeah.
you can just chat with people, and then so I got sucked into BattleNet. But in terms of what I was playing, again, I did not know what I was doing as a little kid, and I got really into fastest map.
Mm-hmm.
Um, really into fastest actually. Like I didn't even play BGH, but a ton of fastest, and then I got into UMS, tower
Yes.
defense,
Yep.
and then like over the course of a couple years, I just got so into UMS, and I was seeing the interesting ideas that people were coming up with. Like people were inventing all these, new game modes,
Mhm.
just with the editor. And so I would toy with the editor, not really know what I was doing, but eventually I just spent more and more time with it, and I found myself on StarEdit.net, which was a Brood War community for the map editor, and
Mhm.
and it really had a bent on UMS specifically,
Mhm.
not melee, which it wasn't called 1v1. It wasn't called. It was UMS and melee,
Mhm.
where it was like how you would refer to competitive games, really,
Yeah.
and normal regular maps. So I remember, man, getting someone would link me one of those infamous or famous Pimpus Plays videos, which were like highlight
Yeah.
reels from way back from like through 2002, 3, 4. I remember looking at this Pimpus Plays video. Someone linked me, and this was like I could have got into competitive RTS if I understood what I was seeing in this video. But I remember watching this video and I was like, "Oh man, they're fast. Look how fast he's playing."
Yeah.
And then I remember watching some vultures like use mines to hop over a wall or something, like someone had walled off and they used some way to hop the wall, which is a pretty
Mhm.
common trick in Brood War. And I was like, dude, I know that trick. So what really caught my interest with UMS and just the glitches and like this, not glitches necessarily, but like the little quirks that you could only pull off if you had played the game a lot.
Mhm.
And so that was really interested me. The map editor really interested me, but when I came across some competitive 1v1 highlights, I was just like, oh, that's cool, but I don't really care that much.
Mhm.
And I remember coming across teamliquid.net and browsing the forums and looking through because I loved StarEdit.net. Why wouldn't I
Mhm.
want to check out this other community?
Mhm.
And I remember I was like, oh, these guys really like melee. These guys really only care about melee, but I don't care. I don't care about this, and
Mhm.
I really just want to play 1v1 or UMS. Sorry,
Mhm.
I want to play UMS and make UMS games, and that's what I did for years and years and years and years. And it's so funny to me now because I love competitive SC2, and I do love competitive Brood War, but I didn't click for me. Like I didn't get it,
Mhm.
even though it was staring me in the face as a fan of Brood War.
Yeah. I feel like UMS, like, it seems like every UMS is like a parallel universe to what StarCraft was like meant to be played as in 1v1. But I haven't actually even played any of the like Brood War UMS because I've actually played Brood War for the first time a month ago,
Oh
like
wow,
ranked, and I got demolished by everyone.
yeah.
It was hilarious. But I remember I was re-listening to the one of your podcasts with Ali, which is the last one, and you
Oh
mentioned like you
yeah.
mentioned your favorite one was observer dodging. What the hell is that?
Oh, that's a great map. So one of my favorite, there's like a whole genre of maps like this, but there was one just called the, Dodge the Observer, and it
Mhm.
was sort of a straight shot from the bottom to the top of the map, and you would start out with like a Corsair, very quick moving
Mhm.
unit, and they would gradually give you slower and slower units as you progress from the bottom to the top and win the round. But what the gameplay was there were a ton of observers just flying around randomly. you could set, there was a little AI script you could tell the game to just have them roam around. And that's what they would do. You didn't have to do anything but say, have these units roam around the map, and there would be a ton. Like the map was covered in observers, but there would be enough space for you to, work your way around. So if you touched an observer, you'd blow up and die.
Yeah, okay,
And
gotcha.
on some versions, there would you would turn into a flag, which your teammates could run into you and save you. So it was a little teamwork based, but
Yeah.
like it was really fun just to dodge, just to move your units around and dodge other units. And like I was saying, how it's turned into its own genre, because there was a genre of maps called bounding maps or bound maps, which was basically just an obstacle course similar to observer dodging, but there would be more predetermined obstacles and maybe some explosions and stuff. But I loved those, and there was a lot of those maps because they weren't particularly difficult to make. I made a bunch myself, and it's just so much fun, dude. I don't know how to put it. It's good stuff.
I mean, for sure, that just sounds like super exciting. Like the closest parallel I could make it is if we make a custom map in StarCraft 2 and you just have DTs everywhere and you have to get from point A to point B, except you have, I assume, at least equal or higher movement speed than them, right?
Yeah, I left something out important, which is you could see the observers. They were not invisible.
Oh, well, that actually, if they were invisible or like slightly invisible, I would be so scared. That would be like the most crazy gameplay, dude.
Yeah, it was still really exciting, and it's just a great map.
Oh, that's awesome. You mentioned you kind of went into the editor a lot, especially from like UMS and stuff. You also the thing is that you also do a lot of like editing for YouTube content. You also I think you started with like highlight reels, didn't you? Like how did you start your YouTube channel really?
Well, that's a good question. I think the first thing I posted on my YouTube was, it didn't even have my name on it at first. I was using like an alias, and I was making highlights out of Chanman V's show Unfiltered. And I really like, if you look especially at the early videos on my channel, I make a lot of fan videos of Destiny, and he was one of the big guests on the show.
We'll get into that.
Yeah. So it's kind of related to that, because I thought Destiny was so funny, and Destiny would go off on Chanman's show, and I would just kind of cut them all together, and it was funny. Like people liked the videos, and so I made like 10 or 12, and I even to this day I use a mouse that Chanman gifted me for making some of these videos. He gave me like a Death Adder and a mouse pad and some stuff, and I still use that mouse from 2013.
So is that like, did you make the highlights just for you, or did he ask you to start making highlights?
No one asked me. No one asked me. I just thought it was funny. I had actually made something kind of similar, but I didn't even post them on YouTube. I did a throwaway channel that I can't even log into anymore. Because I just wasn't, I didn't take it seriously, and it was just satire stuff. But in 2013 is when I first built a computer. From I just would be reading Reddit, build a PC, and I was hugely, I'm almost still addicted to Reddit, but I was even more so back then. And from reading those comments, it seemed the obvious move if you're looking to game and you're a computer gamer. You want to build your own. It seemed more and more clear to me, and I eventually convinced my family, hey, this is something I should spend money on. And I had enough of my own money at this point to build a PC, and within months I realized the joys of video editing, and I continued to pursue that just casually back in those days. But when I look back at the viewer counts and like the response to the videos, I kind of took it for granted how much people like those videos and how much people would watch them, because they're very silly, they're very like niche kind of content. And it's really just serendipitous. Like I never really thought consciously I want to make videos, I want to make a channel. I just did it for fun.
Now those videos are like pretty old, so they've kind of racked up their view count. Did they like pop out really fast in the beginning, or did they just kind of gradually get those views?
Whenever, for the most part, every video you put up is going to get 90% of the traffic in 2 days. Almost always, because there's just this big spike at the beginning as people watch and share it, and then you might get it relinked later down the line, maybe. But it really comes down to like you link it somewhere and you get all your traffic, and that's kind of it. So yeah, for sure, it all happens within the first couple days.
So here comes the insane milestone on your channel, but there's a Destiny video but with 1 million views, dude.
Yeah.
That is insane, dude. Like, so few content creators ever reach a video with 1 million views.
That's true.
So like, I don't even know where to start, because like Destiny is like a huge piece of work, and he was actually very different back then than he is now, for sure. But like, how did you start? Did you just be a sorry? Did you just start being a Destiny fans from the Chaman show? Like, did you start following him a lot more?
No,
or
I was already a fan of Destiny.
Mhm.
Destiny back in those days, for like the first, I don't know, 2010 to 2015 or so,
Mhm.
Destiny was by far the funniest. One of the funniest. We have plenty of funny people, but Destiny's channel was
Yeah.
hilarious, and he still is very funny.
Yeah.
But it's sort of taken a more serious tone lately.
He was insanely edgy back then too. Like, I
Yeah.
know very much today that he would be very much against all the edgy shit that would have happened all those years back. Yeah.
Indeed. Destiny is a pretty controversial figure even back then.
Mm.
And his style of humor is just so thick with sarcasm and definitely edgy. Like, it really just lined up with my own sense of humor. I still love Destiny for sure, but he just doesn't play the SCT like he used to. So in terms of that video, what happened is it was his birthday, okay, and so he turned up the like incentives to get donations and stuff. He turned on the text to speech. Like, this was all something he was kind of vocally against, and he was like, I'm not really into this, but it's my birthday and I want to get extra money. I have a roof to pay for, something like that. And so he put on text to speech. Now, this was not a thing when this video was posted. Text to speech was not even close to what it is now.
Yeah. Was it new at the time, I think?
Yeah, it was new. And so this was it was novel. No one had really seen text to speech, and dude, it was so funny. Like, if you watch the video, it's still funny. It's still edgy. But it'll make you laugh. It should.
Oh, it did. Oh my god, dude, I was on the fucking floor when I rewatched that video, dude.
So there was quite a bit of comedy in there, and I was just watching, like anyone else, and I was dying laughing like anybody else. And so I was like, dude, I'm gonna cut up the best jokes and just put a highlight reel out for anybody who's not gonna watch 3 hours of Destiny grinding them out, because all the funny bits came over in an extended period of time. And by this point, I knew I was already decently into video editing, and I knew if I made this that the StarCraft fans at least would like it. And what happened is I posted on StarCraft and it got some traffic, pretty good, but not 1 million views. And later, like a day or two later, some other Redditor posted it to r/videos, where it ended up hitting the #1 spot on our Reddit /all, which, if you don't know, is there's a ton of traffic on Reddit, period. And I hit the #1 spot on Reddit that night.
That's nuts.
So that's where all the viewership came from. It was like Reddit just found it funny, because it was. And again, text to speech was not a common thing, and like, I would argue, and I think Destiny would agree with me, I know he would, that it kind of helped kickstart text to speech, that video. Right after the video, within weeks, there was a one from Reynad, where Reynad's channel did the same thing, and some of the same jokes, many of them, were in Reynad's video because his fans watched the other video and were making the same jokes. And basically, since then, text to speech blew up. Everyone uses it. It's a staple on Twitch. And yes, I actually ran into Destiny in 2019, and I just brought it up for a bit. I was like, oh yeah, the video. And he was like, dude, you probably started text to speech with that. That's what he said to me. So I never really thought about that, but like in that way, but it's I think it's true that really helped push or popularize what is now like a rather key feature for streamers.
Yeah, that is kind of mind-blowing when you think about it. It's not just like him or just you, it's like both of you at this, like, put together.
Yeah, right? And it wasn't super intentional. We weren't like, oh, let's push text to speech because we think everyone should use it. He did something that he wanted to do for his channel. I thought it was the funniest thing in the world, and the internet just happened to pick it up and agree with us that it was hilarious. And so the rest is history.
Man, holy shit.
A lot of people actually contacted me saying like, dude, you missed so much, because there was so much more funny stuff. and I put up a little part 2,
Mm-hmm.
which did get decent traffic just
Mm-hmm.
because of the traffic of the first video.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I put up like a small follow up just to be like, here's all the other ones I missed. But truly, some of the funniest content ever was on his channel.
True. Wait, so in 2019, did you meet Destiny like in person,
Yeah, it just
or how did that
happened. I
happen?
happened to run into him at BlizzCon.
Oh shit. Okay. Yeah. So like, did he ever talk with you since like that, or has it just been in 2019, like all these years later?
No, we talked. Well, I don't know if we ever talked one to one. I
Mm-hmm.
basically I watched his stream and I would see him talking about it to his community.
Mm-hmm.
His community was like, "Look at this video. It's #1 on all. Look at all the traffic it's getting." And it's funny because I had already made videos about Destiny and put them on my channel. And as I've grown as a creator, I realized this is kind of a no-no. It's not really polite. It's not something you should really be doing.
Mm-hmm.
But that was kind of, again, this is a different era, a different time. Destiny did not have his own channel really. Like it was, I think he had just kind of started. It had a couple thousand subs or something.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's, he's got a very big channel. It's in an editor and everything.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to justify. It's not right what I did really. You should never take a streamer's content and post on your own channel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not without talking to them.
Yeah.
But that's what happened. And I had other videos where I did the same thing and whatever. No one really cared. But as soon as you get a video that does well, now it's a problem. So he actually, Destiny was cool. He was like, yeah, whatever, cool, I don't care that much. Like he was like, yeah, this is kind of a bummer for me. I could be making ad revenue on this.
Yeah.
It should be on my channel. And he's right. But he was cool about it. And only, I think something like 5 years later, he partnered up with one of those YouTube managers. I forget what they're called, but they like take a cut from your channel. I forget what they're called. And like on behalf of Destiny, they went and took and claimed the video. Like 5 years after, no one's gonna watch it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, he was cool, and he was nice when I saw him in 2019. He's a chill guy, honestly. If you ever get to meet him in person,
that would be pretty sick. Although Destiny always feels like a very intimidating person because he's because the thing is that I don't know if I don't think his personality is too overwhelming. I just think like there's something about him that's like pretty.
Well,
yeah.
Lately he's very serious with his politics and stuff.
Yeah.
And there's like this aura of he's always debating people, and if you're gonna have any kind of conversation with him, it'll
But he seems super chill at the same time. So it's like you're not sure what you're gonna get because every time you watch him for the debate shit, right? But when you see him in real life, it's like, well, shit, what is this side? And you're not too sure.
He's actually really chill. If you ever run into him at an event, I would say he's like a pretty normal dude. I don't know how else to put it.
Oh yeah.
But at the same time, I can think of some things I've seen on the stream which are a little outside the usual, a little extreme. But I again, tons of love for Destiny.
Mm-hmm. Do you still follow him to this day?
Not like I used to, but I'll tune into his stream every now and then. Still got him on my following list, and I'll cruise his Twitter every now and then. But I am mostly a StarCraft fan, and when Destiny's playing League or other games, I struggle to keep the same interest I had when he's playing StarCraft.
Yeah.
He did play some games recently, and I loved it. Like I was super happy. Me and my buddies would talk about his play and see how he's doing after all these years.
Yeah.
So yeah, dude. Like I still have tons of love for Destiny, but the truth is, my life's changing. I don't watch streams like I used to, and I definitely don't watch his like I used to.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many streams to watch now that if it's not StarCraft, like kind of directly, it's kind of hard to watch. And I have that relationship with a lot of some of my favorite streamers that don't always stream what I want them to stream or what I like watching generally. And like you'd think, you're there for the streamer, but the game they're playing is actually just a huge part that you just can't deny. Like even if you love the streamer, if they don't play something that you're interested in, it could be a huge blow to your attention span for sure.
Yeah, I would say it's very rare that your viewers are gonna be 100% into you, as opposed to there's always gonna be some people like a bit that want to just see the game. Of course, some people don't care, but they're tied together, like you said.
Yeah, for sure. What actually inspires you to do certain videos? Because the range of what you do on your channel has been very different from like,
Yeah.
interviews, incoming transmission, like highlight reels, map intros, which are kind of used in tournaments, of course, and like just
Hmm.
other kind of one-offs and stuff like that. Like, what inspires you to like do a certain video? Because they're all so different.
Yeah, I mean that's a good question. Um, a lot of this stuff, especially starting out, and even still today, is as I like to do things that I think are funny.
Hmm.
So, one of my favorite things to do is just kind of post like satire or make fun of,
Yeah,
kind of joke with the community. Like the community was balance lining up more than ever
yeah,
last year about Protoss, and so I made a video just making fun of balance lining about Protoss.
yeah,
Um, or things along those lines. Protoss is really the easiest to make fun of. I've had a
yeah.
few videos about that. But you know, anything that I think is funny is a big inspiration for me. If I think I can make
Hmm.
people laugh, that's something I like to do.
Hmm.
But there's also this aspect that comes from Brood War. Like I thought the editor and some of the stuff you can do with the game engine is like just so fascinating, and I think there's a lot more to both the Brood War and StarCraft 2 than 1v1. I think there's a lot more interesting things about the game, and there's interesting potential in the game itself that isn't just competitive cash tournaments.
Hmm.
So part of me wants to showcase that in terms of the map intros. um that kind of is blending both worlds. So I can be creative with the camera, but it's also something that tournaments could use for their production. So
Hmm.
that type of content where I can blend my fandom of 1v1 and esports with creative things from the editor, be it the camera or more recently this observer mod, or even making some arcade games, which I've really never succeeded totally. I've made some little things one in there, but
Yeah.
I haven't had a nice big arcade game come out. But I've certainly worked on spent a lot of hours trying to make one. So yeah, I feel like I almost forget your original question, but
Doesn't
I'm
matter.
all over the
Doesn't
yeah.
matter. I actually have a new question now because
Yep.
I'm one of those guys who loves to dabble in like just editing and even arcade and stuff. And I used to dabble a lot in like this little program called RPG Maker, and I would just like
Oh,
start.
I know that.
Yeah, I would just do a whole bunch of like projects that would just never be finished and nobody knows about. Is there anything that you would like to share, like of like
Ooh.
arcade games that you never finished but were like kind of cool in your head in hindsight?
Yeah, well, all right. I got a couple. One of them that I started prototyping a bit and is really just sitting on the shelf is like a, Marine Split Challenge in StarCraft 2.
Yep,
Pretty popular map.
by
It's
Morrow,
pretty
right?
fun. Yeah, there's a few.
Yeah,
Morrow
yeah.
did make one of the better ones. Yeah,
Mhm.
there's a couple. Anyway, so I started working on a version which would give you a little bit more statistics in terms of how well you're splitting
Mhm.
and give you some hard numbers to work on. So some of the things that I was tracking is how long are you holding the mouse down when you're making a box,
Ooh,
or
yeah.
how far apart are your units, like how well are you splitting, are you
Mhm.
splitting enough, like are they far apart enough that they negate all the splash, some of
Mhm.
it. So you can actually keep track of these things
Mm.
in the editor, provided you write the script that keeps track of it. But it wasn't hard. In like a day or two I got some pretty interesting stats, and that's just sitting around because one of my big issues with StarCraft 2 in the arcade and my projects is really monetization, like and
Mhm.
like the return you get
Yep.
for putting something out like this. I feel like I could work very very hard on a game and really not get much in return, except for some attention, right, or
Yep.
some exposure, as
Yep.
people love to say, like
Yeah.
I get paid in exposure. And like honestly man, that was cool 7 or 8 years ago. I would have been happy to do that. And in a sense, I still am happy to volunteer my time to StarCraft 2, and I still do.
Mhm.
And I love it. But there comes a point where like the editor is so hard to use, and it's so difficult to put something out that you don't even know people are gonna like. Uh
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that that it can be extremely demotivating when I hit a wall and I realize like what am I even gonna get out of this? Not just financially, but like will anyone even play it?
Mhm.
So I do struggle once I run into something difficult to push through, really, because I can just I'm getting jobs from other people that are paid, to do easier work.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, so
Yep.
it's a struggle, man, in terms of putting out games. But to give you a few more examples, another one I got on the shelf is and this is something was collaborating with other people. Like BCQD approached me for this, and I was working with Isaiah, who's the creator of Coda,
Yep.
Backwater, some
Ye-
other really good 1v1
Yeah,
maps.
you see his name a lot in there. If
I
you're anywhere near the map making community, you know who that is. Yeah.
Isaiah is extremely talented, and
Yeah.
I really feel bad because both him and BCQD have waited and waited and waited for me to make this micro tournament map. It was supposed to be an updated micro tournament, which is like
Mm-hmm.
a bracket style micro game where
Mm-hmm.
you versus the other guy
Mm-hmm.
in a bracket format, and you get a predetermined set of units, and whoever has better micro wins. So I got pretty far, honestly, and I put a lot of hours into that for nothing so far, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what ended up happening is I just, I hit a wall, and I realized, like, what am I gonna get out of this?
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to all these other work, people are constantly asking me for more other stuff. That's one, paid, two, it's not as difficult, and I don't feel good saying this right now because I do feel badly towards Beastie and Isaiah, who Isaiah did put some really good terrain, and Beastie was, I told him I would do it, and it's not done. It hasn't been done for a couple years, and I think
Mm-hmm.
Beastie at one point he tried to find another developer, and it's you're not gonna you're not gonna have a good time finding a really good developer that's
Yeah.
gonna work for free in StarCraft 2. You're just not.
Yeah. Everything in the beginning can be a passion project. Like even you with your highlight videos, like you didn't expect any monetization out of that. You just kind of do it
That's
because
right.
you feel like it. A lot of the same things apply to whenever you're making arcade games or custom maps and stuff like that. It's like, this isn't really gonna bring you much. You're just kind of doing it because you're gonna have fun and you hope this other people might have fun too. But like at the end of the day, like time
Yeah.
is valuable, so you
Yeah,
can't literally
and
just dump everything there all the
it,
time.
it's not to say that every person making an arcade map should be getting paid, or that I
Mm-hmm.
think I should be always getting paid for my contributions.
Mm-hmm.
But at where I'm at now, and where I have been for a couple of years, is that other people do want to pay me,
Mm-hmm.
and God bless them. I'm very grateful for every opportunity I have and the people that I work with. I really am. But because I'm in this position where, like, I got my own place, I got bills, I got a car to pay off, I got stuff to do. uh I'm not a kid anymore, and I can't commit this kind of time like I used to be able to.
Yeah.
I just can't. And so it's a bummer, honestly. I
Mm-hmm.
don't feel good talking about this kind of stuff, just in the sense of, like, I wish I could do more, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm just one person. And
Yeah. Well, I mean, with time, you start getting out more content. You start to get, split a lot more. So you can't just do whatever you want anymore. That's kind of like a reality you got to do. At the beginning,
that's
you
true.
can do anything you want, but the more you grow, the more your attention is going to be split, and you can't literally do everything by yourself. And that's just a reality. Yeah.
Yep. Another big regret, or not regret, but something that bothers me. Really is a regret feeling, and maybe it's not totally related, but I do wish I got into the SC2 editor earlier,
Mm-hmm.
because now I feel rather confident with it, and I feel pretty confident with everything I do, mostly with the editor. And you know, I figured it out late. If I was doing same things I'm doing years and years and years ago, I feel like, there
Mm-hmm.
could have been a better, more success for me.
To be fair though,
But
like I feel like the editor isn't that easy in StarCraft 2, especially in like the unit database. There's like so much shit you gotta take care
mhm,
of
it's
that,
really
like, man, it's
difficult.
crazy. Yeah,
the
so you
the
can't.
editor turned off so many people. So many of my friends I still keep in touch with from staredit.net. I bring up SE2, and they're like, that game sucks, and I'm like, why? And remember, these are all editor people,
Yeah.
and they're like, well, the editor sucks.
Mm.
And like I can't argue with them too much. The editor's amazing. The
It's
StarCraft 2
yeah,
engine is
it's
amazing,
it's powerful for
but
sure. Yeah.
yeah, it's extremely powerful. But it's to say unintuitive is a huge understatement.
Mm-hmm.
It's extremely difficult to pick up.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna need help, and you're gonna need a lot of it. And there's almost no documentation from Blizzard.
Yeah.
It's a shame, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think other people would disagree who have tried to put their time into the editor.
Mm. I think I've tr- the one thing I've done with the editor that's like probably the most major thing. I tried to remake StarCraft like a balance map. It was a balanced version of like Shakira's Plateau. It wasn't balanced, just by the way, but
Sure.
I was just doing all the okay. So you know your series looks versus feels. It
Yeah.
was kind of like I tried to incorporate that because like whenever you play the game, everything that kills you seems so overwhelming. So
Yeah.
I've nerfed some stuff into the ground. I've done some crazy shit. One of the most hilarious changes I've done is that I thought the Marine's gun was very unrealistic. Like just doing like 5 damage every shot. It was like, well, dude, this is a machine gun. It should do 1 damage, but like 10 times a second, obviously. Like,
Yeah.
so I just did that, and then the one unit modification, the big unit modification that I somehow figured out to make work. This took so long just for one unit. I created this
Yeah.
unit called the Phantom, which is two Archons merged together to make a Mega
Mm,
Archon.
that's
that
kind of cool.
that took so long to figure out how to make those two units be able to merge through the editor that like
Oh
after
yeah.
like a month I was like finally got it. All right, I'm done with this. It's over. I'm just gonna make some maps now. I'm never gonna mess with the editor ever again.
Yeah.
That was
So that
it's
sounds
pretty
like some
crazy.
work you would do in the data module of the editor. And
Yeah,
like
exactly.
you said a little bit, the data editor is one of the most difficult parts in the editor
Mm,
because it's just there's no documentation and it's hard to learn. It's
yeah,
just the truth of it.
yeah.
So yeah, that's not an easy thing to do. And just making a unit, making your own unit, which you can do,
Mm,
and you couldn't do this in Brood War, but you
mm.
can in StarCraft 2. Making your own unit's a pain in the ass. It's
Oh yeah.
like you need 3 different types of data, and once you pick it up, it's actually pretty easy. But
Mm-hmm.
but again, like no one, you have to just figure it out yourself for the most part, and
Yeah.
it's not fun. It's really not.
And I did cheat a little bit. Like I basically just took the Archon, doubled the size, doubled the damage, and doubled the health. So I didn't have to
Yeah.
work too hard there. But
Well, I mean, that's a
yeah.
great start though.
Yeah. Yeah, especially like cuz I had virtually no experience with coding. I just kind of had to figure it out. Plus with Team Liquid help a little bit just to figure out like how do you
Yeah.
do this? How do you do this? But like yeah, that was the most basic thing I managed to do. So I do feel like for people who make arcade games, like that seems unfathomable to me. But yeah, yeah, it's crazy.
It certainly takes some programming knowledge, more
Hmm.
so than Brood War ever did.
Hmm.
I do attribute my interest in programming and everything to the Brood War map editor. Like
Mm.
I wouldn't be doing any of this
Oh
stuff if it
yeah.
wasn't for
Oh
the
yeah,
Brood War map
true.
editor
Because you went
and
into
StarEdit.net.
yeah, you went into programming after, right?
Pretty much, man. Like not long, I started doing Brood War UMS like 11, 12, and by age 13, I remember picking up a book to learn PHP, which is a web
Whoa.
programming language
Yeah.
that's kind of fell out of style lately, but
Mm.
uh I learned PHP when I was 13, man, and I would get help. The administrator of StarEdit.net,
Mm.
who was in college at the time doing PHP and other things, he taught me quite a bit. And so at age 13, I was learning how to script, and throughout high school, ages like 15, 17, I actually just didn't do any of it because I feel like I already got a pretty good grip on scripting
Mm.
as a really young teenage, like preteen,
Mhm.
age 13, 14. And then later in life, I realized, you know what? Should probably do this a bit more. And I've since had a lot of one-off programming gigs, and I have a job now, my 9 to 5, and where I wrote them an entire website basically from scratch. And I feel like I'm gonna keep pursuing programming because of Brood War and StarEdit.net as administrators help.
Damn, that's awesome. Did were you able to ever incorporate like oh no I no it must have been like a completely different language because I've so little knowledge about coding, but like could you implement anything that you've learned from PHP into the editor in any way like from Brutal?
Well, the way it works is, um, short answer is no.
Mm.
PHP is for web servers.
Yeah, okay.
Uh, but the long answer would be like once you get comfortable with the language, um, they all share a lot of similarities. Like in almost every language you're gonna be able to write if then, or if this
Hmm.
do that, then do this, or else do this.
Hmm.
There's just a lot of programming concepts that are kind of overarching that you can apply to other languages. So what I'm getting at is like once you learn a language or two, it's really easy or much easier to pick up another one.
Yeah, because
So
there's like a
PHP,
logic throughout, right? Where
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
gotcha.
yeah. So PHP was my intro to scripting, and then later I would learn more JavaScript, and then I was really web focused, and I still am.
Mhm.
But the scripting language in the map editor is based on C, which is like one of the more old school programming languages. It's been around forever, and everyone is pretty familiar with its syntax for the most part. Anyway, the language is called Galaxy. Blizzard has their own language
Oh,
called
really?
Galaxy.
Okay.
It's called the Galaxy Editor.
Yeah.
And like the files that you save as are .galaxy. Like that's
Mhm.
what they're called. So you write Galaxy script for StarCraft 2. Most people don't actually write the script by hand. There's the trigger editor in the map editor itself. It's like its own little module.
Mhm.
So the trigger module lets you write triggers, which really are script. It's writing Galaxy scripts, but it has a nice little UI
Mhm.
that helps you write it basically.
Mhm.
But without knowing scripting, if you dive into triggers, it's gonna be rough. Like you're some basic, not advanced at all, but like if you took a 101 or an AP computer science class in high school, you'll be much better off picking up triggers and other things in the StarCraft 2 editor as opposed to knowing nothing at all.
Mhm. All right. Just to go back to like some of your stuff on YouTube, was there any series or videos that is like your favorite for some reason, or like
Yeah,
that you
for
really
sure.
cherish? I don't know.
Yeah, man. Well, I think my one of my claim to fame, I guess, my most popular thing series of my own was completely original. No one told me to do it. It's my own idea, but the how it looks, how it feels
Oh yeah,
series,
yeah.
I'd probably be the most proud of that because one, people seem to really like them. I do feel a little badly that I kind of just stopped making them. At
Mhm.
least for it's been over a year now, and um, that's I've had some pretty successful videos with those, especially earlier on.
Mhm.
Kotaku posted them twice. They would do well in various parts of the internet.
Mhm.
So that's probably my proudest thing. I can't be too proud because I release them so infrequently, and I kind of like half-ass my channel. Honestly, I do a lot of work for other people.
Yeah.
I built up, I helped build up SC2HL. So what it is today, I worked on the
Mhm.
channel for 2.5 years. I helped Base Trade channel, even though it didn't turn out so well.
Mhm.
I worked for Base Trade channel for honestly like 2 years. I worked for right now I'm working on Artosis's channel. So I really
Yeah, you're just everywhere, dude.
like
It's fucking
yeah, well
crazy.
I like to help other people because again, it's more I know I'm going to get something out of it. Typically they're going to pay me.
Mhm.
When you make stuff for your own channel, like it's such a gamble, man. Like you don't really know
Yeah.
how it's going to do. And
Unless you're actually okay with it making no money, like you have
right,
to. It
if
has to
you
be like
go
that
into
extra thing.
content,
Yeah.
yeah, if you go into content creation looking for money, you're gonna like
Oh yeah. No,
don't
no,
do
no, no.
that.
Of course not. Yeah.
It's not gonna make you're gonna be unhappy.
Yeah. Mhm.
And I wasn't doing that, but as the videos did more and more, did better and better and better, and I
Mhm.
realized that my time is valuable and that I do have some unique things to bring to the table that I've started, especially now that I'm this old, but I realized like I gotta get some return. Again, I don't want to be too focused on money because it's not all about money.
Mhm.
I do want to make another how it looks, how it feels video, and I have ideas in my head. But like at this age, it's a time thing. Really, it really is time,
Mhm.
and the fact that I just don't have it. Like I don't like I used to. I can't play. Like my rank has fallen so far, and I've lost like 1,000 MMR from where I was.
Shit.
Uh, I'm getting old, dude. I don't know
What
how else
did
to put it.
what
It
did
sucks.
what did you peak at in StarCraft 2?
I got like 4,500, I guess.
Yeah.
I got to Masters 3, and
Yeah.
I'm very I'm proud of that. It's not for a lot of
Mhm.
people it doesn't mean anything. I'd say most people don't care if
Mhm.
you hit Masters 3, but
I mean, most people aren't making content like every which way, like are super busy. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
you know.
So that was like my highest rank is like 4,500, 44.
Mhm.
And I've gotten up to Masters like maybe 2, 3 times, and every time I did, like that's an accomplishment for me. It's not
Mhm.
for most people, but that's I feel I feel pretty good if I can get that high, and I'm like not near that anymore.
Nice. Yeah, my personal, I think, favorite video of yours, and I didn't even know you did this video until I actually went back in your channel and checked, but it was the Haas video where after he cheesed so much with the guy with the face, I was like, I remember seeing that on Reddit, and I was like, I'm listening to this video on loop, and it's such a short video, but it's so good. And then I was like, wait, you made that shit? I was like, oh my god, yeah, that's hilarious. Can't believe it.
That was a good one.
Actually, speaking of like those like the event with Haas, because that had happened. I think you did that video like right after that tournament, I think, or even during. Was it during?
I saw the thread on Reddit, and I saw the guy's face. And again, this is one of those things where a lot of my motivation is like, dude, if I can meme this, like people are gonna love this. You could just tell.
Yeah.
You could see, and so speed is a huge part of content creation. Like being first to post something,
especially when it's a meme too, because you want to be like right there, because literally every half hour is like years.
Yeah. Timing is so important. I can't understate it. Timing is everything. So the Haas video, I got there in time. I was able to get it out at a good time, and it was funny. So that was a good one for sure.
It was hilarious. Yeah.
I was trying to something else I want to talk about time. Oh, when I worked with SC2HL, there was no clips on Twitch. Okay.
Yeah.
There was no way to post something cool from a tournament on Reddit without like linking the VOD, and like people are not going to click that really. You gotta think, what is something people will click on, check out, and be done with. Like you gotta cater to the lowest common denominator, right? You gotta assume everyone has no attention, because they really don't. And what SC2HL was doing before anyone else really was aggregating content. We were pulling out the best clips, and we were all major StarCraft fans, of course. So we would be watching tournaments and be like, dude, that was sick, let's put it up. Before I ever did work with SC2HL, I was just making GIFs out of good plays, good micro, funny stuff.
I'm just gonna let that GIF slide, by the way, with the soft J.
GIFs. Sorry, people.
I'm just gonna let that slide, but yeah, go for it. Sorry.
People butcher me for that. So yeah, man, I really that was what I never, before I ever did any videos, it was GIFs of stuff from Twitch, mostly Twitch, basically purely Twitch. And I just kind of like realized when I started posting them, like, oh my god, this get a lot of attention, and I'm like, it doesn't take that much work. But it turns out no one's willing to put in much effort on Reddit, really, like truly. The amount of people who put even a minimal amount of effort into their posts is less than you would think. Like I always found Reddit to be, especially Reddit StarCraft, to be pretty easily impressed, honestly. I think that more so applied in the years before, but the traffic has really fallen off on Reddit StarCraft. But it used to be quite easy to get your thread. In my opinion, I had no problem getting my threads on the top of, or the front page at least. And I actually just contacted the SC2HL owner and said, "Yo, let's work together," and we did for years. Yeah,
I mean, I think just generally, like, online content for StarCraft is just sparse enough to where everything is kind of interesting, and you'd click on it. Like, especially during the time where, you would have a lot of Carback. That's like that instant click for everybody, right? Because there's not really anybody else doing that kind of stuff. Right. And just anything, even StarCraft related, if it's anywhere near different, it has decent, like, quality, and, like, it's kind of funny, people will click on that shit, like, in 2 seconds. Yeah, for sure. It's definitely not oversaturated, that's for sure. Yeah.
At the same time, there is a healthy audience. Like, even still today, like, if you post something good, people will pick it up and it'll go around, no doubt.
Oh yeah, but again, like you said, like, if you get good timing on it too, like if something just happened in a tournament and you somehow get like really good timing on it, just like the first memes of when Nathanius would like disconnect, right? And then you would have that face of him, like his webcam freezing, and then Rotterdam like with a smile there. Like those first memes, you would just blow up too. Timing is huge. Yeah, for sure.
It is.
Um, so yeah, when you made that host video, it was it was right after the tournament, is what I understand, or like was it during? I like forget.
I don't.
Do
I
you
think it was
remember?
during. I just remember there was already a thread, and it was just a screenshot of his face,
Exactly.
and it
So,
was,
so
that
you
guy's
did it
face
in like a
is
day or something?
legendary. So I saw the screenshot, and I was like, "Give me, where's the VOD? I gotta find the VOD of
Yeah.
this." And then found the VOD, and I was like, "Oh man, I got an idea." It just kind of it just comes to you, man. Like
Yeah.
I don't really sit around and be like, "Oh, how can I do this? Oh, how can I do this?" It just comes to you, honestly.
Yeah.
Almost every idea, basically every idea I've had is like, it just I just see it randomly, and like,
Yeah.
and I think it's funny,
Mhm.
and I do it, and that's really it.
Yeah. So when you see it, you kind of just hop on the moment and then just
It's
go
like
for it, and then you
it's
just
like
make
an
the whole video.
instinct, man. Like you just
Yeah.
know it's funny, and like you can tell, like, oh man, this has potential.
Yeah. So like you download the VOD and then you made the video like entirely immediately, and then that's
Yeah,
just kind of
I
yeah.
remember I actually streamed myself editing this one, and I don't remember why. I almost never do that, but I streamed a little bit. I was like, guys, I was like, give me some help, guys. Let's just put this together.
Yeah.
And one of my friends, like in that video, there's the little rave doge. There's the dog
That's the
dancing with the
best
lights.
part, dude.
Someone suggested that, and I
So
put it in, and I
good.
was like, dude, that is perfect. And it, so that the dog fit in the video perfect, but it was actually someone in chat was like,
Mm.
use this, because I remember having a blank section of the video. I was like, how do we fill this? Where do we transition here?
Mhm.
And it worked out great. Like the dog is hilarious in that clip.
It is so funny, dude. It's so great.
Yeah.
What what has been some of your like favorite events? Because you have said you went to BlizzCon. I know I'm right after this. I'm gonna tell how I met you at the DreamHack Montreal at some point. But you've probably been to like quite a few events like throughout the year. So was
Yeah,
there anyone that's like very
absolutely.
memorable to you, or that you liked a lot, or for a reason or another?
Well, it's hard to name just one,
Yeah.
because almost every event is special in its own way in terms of
Mhm.
just what you do and the people you meet and the good times that you have. I have gone to like quite a few. I haven't counted, but I would say it's over 20 at least.
Oh damn yeah.
Uh, I think I started my first event was MLG 2012, where Alicia won, Slayer's Alicia,
Mhm.
and I remember seeing Marine King there, where Reddit had helped him fly out. Like he was wearing a little Reddit badge because we gave him, not we, but Reddit had raised a ton of money for him to get to the event. So my first event was 2012, and in terms of favorite, I mean that one was special. I think we ended up buying alcohol for Stefano because he saw my friend was like completely shit faced drunk.
Yeah.
Uh, and Stefano saw him and was like, "You're obviously wasted. Can you get us some alcohol?" And we ended up drinking in his hotel room.
Oh jeez.
So that was obviously memorable. I don't know if it was my favorite event. I don't think Stefano remembers me at all, even though I've met him plenty of times after that. I'm almost certain he doesn't.
Yeah.
What else? So
Any
I
memorable
think,
things that happened maybe in an event just like that one? I don't know.
yeah, I mean, I definitely have a favorite in terms of there was, again, I have to say Blizzard has been incredible to me. Blizzard has treated me very well. I'm very lucky that some of their staff likes the things I'm doing, because I've gotten to attend some very cool things at BlizzCon. So the one of the most memorable, if not the most, is I got to attend the launch party for Legacy of the Void in
Oh.
2015.
Oh.
So again, Blizzard had their own little private event.
Yeah.
There were a fair. This was pretty packed, but again, you had to be invited, and it was the launch party for Legacy. So it was just a big party, and all the developers were there. Mike Morheim was there, and other just legends. Um, StarCraft royalty, as someone
Yeah.
described it to me, and I was
Yeah.
like, dude, that is a great way to put it.
Mm.
I gotta say hello to Boxer. I gotta shake hands with Mike Morheim. That's where I first met Artosis.
Oh man.
Everyone was there, and as just sort of a newcomer to these behind, this is my first. That was also my first BlizzCon. So not only was it my first time attending BlizzCon, but I got to attend this very special event. I gotta pay, the some of the Korean players were there. I gotta say hello to them. So that one will always stand out in my mind, because I know it's a really a once in a lifetime kind of a party.
Yeah.
And just it was just so special to be invited at all, first of all, and to meet the people I met, man. It was really an honor, and I'll never forget that.
Yeah, it was StarCraft, but like in person. Everything that embodies what StarCraft was, from like the pro players, to the creators, to the everything really.
Yeah, man, it
It's like
is
these
just
masters.
amazing.
Damn, that's crazy.
There was a poker tournament that night, and
Mhm.
Mike Morheim cleaned up, man.
Oh really?
He took out everybody. He won. Yeah.
Shit. I don't know why, but like, there's so many good StarCraft players, StarCraft Brood War or StarCraft 2 players. They're just into poker, like really good at poker.
There's a
it.
big overlap for some reason. Something about the game and its use of statistics, bluffing, the
Yeah.
mind games. They really do cater. It seems to cater to StarCraft players.
Yeah.
I wish I could say the same. I'm really a weak poker player myself.
I mean, you could just get like a table. Like, I know Roddy plays quite a bit.
Oh yeah.
Roddy
Oh
plays
yeah.
a lot. Wait, who else plays a lot? I feel like does
Roddy
no
loves some poker.
Nathanius? No, Nathanius doesn't play.
Not so much. I think he would like to go out. Roddy would like to go out with like some of his buddies like Todd and Mr. Bitter,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know so much about their their stuff. I know Todd is for sure into poker. He
Oh
goes to
yeah,
events.
nice. Alfie's a
But yeah,
professional now. I
there's a
know.
lot.
Yeah, I was gonna say like Alfie's a professional now. I don't know what happened to that guy, but like,
Yeah,
he's crazy as well.
he killed it, man. He from a long for a while now.
Yeah.
Even one of my friends. I mean, we don't keep in touch too much, but we were good friends for a while. Um, his name is Mike, even, or his handle is Moose Skills, and he was a GM Zerg player. He's kind of like my age, maybe a year or two younger. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
And he has went on to just crush it in poker. Whereas he was also really good at StarCraft, but he was not winning the kind of money he was winning now.
Yeah.
So it's really impressive, and it's still happening. We're still getting people getting into poker and succeeding who were really talented StarCraft players. It's just a thing for sure.
Shit, that's awesome. I wish I knew how to play poker a bit better. There's so much money in that game. It's unbelievable. Like,
Yeah.
Now I kind of like understand, like, cause the feeling I get when I hear people make a living out of playing poker must be the same feeling as like parents, like the like a kid telling their parents people make like money playing video games. Like, I think it's similar, because I'm just like, how can everybody just make such decent money with this game? It's like, damn, it's just fucking.
Yeah,
You're just
it is interesting.
It's like you're just
And
holding
there's
two cards. What the hell,
lot
man?
of concepts that apply to both games, like the concept of tilting, etc.
Yeah, and there's a certain fog of war as well.
Yeah, man, that's a good point.
Kinda, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's definitely not the same as SE2 in the point that you can't really lose money playing StarCraft 2, but in poker you gotta put some money in.
You can lose MMR, my guy. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably not as drastic though, but yeah. I never really flew out to any events. I don't think have I ever been to a Toronto event? I think there was one NASL in Toronto once, because I live in Canada.
I was gonna say, is that where you're from?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I live in Montreal, right? So very fortunate for us to have like DreamHack. I think 3 or 4 years in a row. I don't know if we're gonna count this year. I guess not. But
No.
probably not. Honestly, 2020 didn't even count. Like last year was no, never mind. But yeah, I remember meeting you actually. I think it was 2018. It was during the era of incoming transmission / around the not the end, but like since it was September.
I was still doing it.
Yeah, you were still doing it, but there was like, I think you had like 10. You did 10 from there or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember, because the whole event, like, we were in I think it was the Olympic Stadium, but everything is really darkly lit. And honestly, the thing is that a lot of people know your name / username, but not we don't see your face that often, so it's hard to recognize you.
Absolutely true.
Yeah.
So many people I would meet at events, and I'd be like, "Oh, hey, my name's Joey. My handle's my username," and their eyes would light up and be like, "Oh my god."
Yeah.
Which feels great, of course, but yeah, like I'm not I'm not a face you're gonna really recognize because I'm not on camera.
Yeah, except for incoming transmission. So that's how I got the glimmer of like, wait, is this nice username? And then we started talking, and I remember telling you like, I really like yours in particular because I was actually not really familiar with like a lot of your videos before then, or at least I didn't know
Yeah,
that you made them. I think there was quite a few videos that I probably saw that I just didn't realize it was you this whole time.
sure.
Um, but I remember thinking at that point that since don't take this personally, I thought you were kind of a nobody in comparison to the other people that were doing interview series. Like I think there was Real Talk with It Me JP not too
Yeah,
long
I mean that's
ago.
still kind of true.
Yeah, and like there were all these big names, and even today, actually, you'd have like the Tastelet podcast, you've got like the Cats podcast and everything. So I was like,
Yeah.
well, if this guy can somehow get all these people and do like this interview series, fuck it, I can probably do something like that too. Um,
Yeah, dude.
and
Well, yeah. First of all, what you're doing is awesome. I just want to repeat that. I think I've said that before. It really is. And yeah, when I was doing the show, I loved doing the incoming transmission podcast. I did. It was really enjoyable,
Mhm.
but I did quit, and I really quit unceremoniously. I didn't say anything. I kind of just stopped. And you didn't ask, but I'll tell you. The
Go on.
reason the reason is really because I didn't think I did as good as I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and I wanted to do better than I did.
Mhm.
Um, there are some interviews I think were fantastic,
Yeah.
and there were some that I am a little embarrassed of,
Mhm.
honestly. So that was one reason.
Mhm.
The other reason is I feel like I was kind of diluting my channel with videos that were not so successful, in the sense that
Mhm.
if you'd look through my channel, you'd see all these videos with a minimum of 10K hits, or
Mhm.
you would see a lot of engagement on videos, and then you'd see this big pile of the incoming transmission videos, which
Mhm.
I never expected to do as well, of course. But I feel like it would make my channel look worse, basically, at a glance.
Mhm. Yeah.
If for anyone, if I link it to a potential employer or anybody or someone,
Mhm.
and they just look through it, they're gonna see a lot of videos with low viewership and bad engagement, and
Yeah.
just not what I had where I had previously set the bar. Right
Yeah.
now, I want to say I was very grateful to all the support I got for that series, which
Yeah.
was not that bad, honestly. Like, uh I got a ton of promotion from the Pylon show. Those guys were super
Mhm.
supportive, and like you were saying, anyone I asked, like, I had almost no issue getting guests to come on, basically none. Of
Mhm.
course some people would decline that I asked, but
Mhm.
like, so what? That's
Yeah.
totally okay.
It's totally
you know
fine.
uh,
Nobody's forcing
I'm
you to
not
come on.
expecting everyone to say yes, and I'm not
Yeah.
expecting everyone to want to do,
Mhm.
an over an hour talk with me about
Mhm.
gaming and stuff, or their life.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of reasons why I cut the show off, and I do want to thank everyone I had on, and I want to apologize to the people I didn't get to. And I don't regret doing it at all.
Oh, of course
No way.
not. Of
But
course not, dude.
I definitely think my skills are better suited somewhere else,
Mhm.
for sure.
Yeah. I think obviously again the incoming transmission was a very different type of content that you would do before because you used to do
Yeah.
it was a lot of pre-planned edited videos with like kind of humor based, but this was more like an interview kind of
And it was
type
serious,
concept too.
yeah.
And it was serious.
Where
Actually, now that I think about it, why did you start the incoming transmission?
Oh, that's a good
How did
question.
that actually happen? Yeah.
That's a good question. Honestly, um, it's kind of like you reference here, where like you were inspired by other shows,
Mhm.
or you were inspired by incoming transmission. I was seeing interviews from Cyan was one, but there were more
Mm.
than just Cyan. There were other JP's Real Talk, of course. I mentioned that by name.
Yeah.
And so those Cyan kind of made me realize, like, oh, dude, you could still get interviews done. People are still around for interviews, because there wasn't much. There was no Pylon show when I started.
Mm.
It kind of just started right after I did, but
Mhm.
it wasn't there when I started.
Yeah.
There was no unfiltered. Like, there was really a drought in long form audio, podcast type content. It
Mhm.
just it just wasn't there like it is now.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
I saw an opening. I thought it could be really cool. I At this point I already had decent connections to get on the show. Like the first one I did with Wolf I really liked,
Oh
and
yeah.
I'd known him from previous years and stuff
Hmm.
like that. So I'm really grateful for all the people that would come on it. And again,
Hmm.
like I really did love doing it. Like it's fun.
Who are the?
But
I was gonna say, like,
go
who
ahead.
are some of like the people that you didn't manage to get on that you would have just loved to get on? Was there anyone
Well,
you had in mind?
I have to apologize to this person, and I have, but I'll have to apologize again
Yeah.
to Loco, who was very
Ooh.
gracious
Yeah.
to schedule some time with, and you know how
Mhm.
busy that dude is,
Oh
busy
yeah.
dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Loco scheduled time with me 3 times,
Hmm.
and I dropped the ball. Like I would sleep through, or I would miss it, or I just wasn't there,
Mm.
and like that's pretty bad.
Mm.
So big apologies to Loco.
Hmm.
He's still cool to me. Like he's still very nice to me, whereas that was a very rude and not okay thing on my part at all.
Mm.
Um, so that big regrets there. Um, what was
I
the
think
original question?
I was gonna say.
I guess.
I was just gonna say, like, was there any one that you would have loved to have on that you maybe didn't get the chance to even
Yeah,
ask, maybe,
so
or
Loco would be one. Some other casters I wish I got to but didn't, like Zeph and Pig, some of our Australian
Mm,
casters.
yeah.
And then like there's just so many people. I wanted to really get Desert Strike, the arcade game, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Like,
I think the day I discovered that game, I'm pretty sure I played about 6 hours straight. Yeah.
oh yeah, it's rather popular and it's fun.
Yeah, it is.
So I really wanted to get Taya on,
Mhm.
the maker of Desert Strike or Direct Strike, because they're very that's a is, Ty is very smart with the editor and created the most successful game really uh
Yeah.
for the arcade. So
Hmm.
that would have been a good one. But I think Ty is I haven't seen him around for a bit, and also I don't think he was too interested.
Hmm.
No problem with that at all, but I would have liked to do
Yeah.
that. I don't think I ever had an SC2 arcade person who had some success, even just moderate success.
Yeah.
Like, well, that's not true at all. I can't forget Daniel
Hmm.
or Pirate,
Yeah.
who is the creator of Arcstar. Daniel is just extremely talented. Um, the only reason uh I wish I could also do Taya is just because Direct Strike is extremely excessively popular.
Hmm.
But Daniel's contributions um can't be overlooked. Like that guy is amazing. So it's really a tough question to answer. There's so many. I can just go on and on about people I would love to talk to, because
Yeah.
we really do have a bustling community of talented, smart, and
Yeah.
interesting people.
And the content that's out there is so diverse too that like every person is different, from like wolf to pirate to
Yeah.
like up tree Zelda even.
Yeah,
uh,
dude. Oh my god, we just talked about audio for a long time, but
yeah.
Sal is Uppetry is also, I
Yeah.
really enjoyed our interview, and I'm a
I
big fan of him in general.
Yeah, he was actually the biggest challenge for me, and I don't know if you're gonna relate to some of these points, because one of the questions I had for you was like, what are some like the biggest challenges in that whole interview series? And actually, just before I forget, okay, try not to like think of that whole series as like regret, or like or like finish, like not being able to finish. Like there's nothing lasts forever, okay? Like series end
Yeah.
eventually, right? So it's totally fine, dude. I told you in person that like that series of podcasts is super fucking awesome. I'm so grateful you did all those. So don't
Yeah,
feel
I
bad about
appreciate
like
that.
not being able to like continue forever. Okay, we don't expect like fucking infinity podcasts,
Yeah,
obviously.
for sure,
Yeah.
man. Well, thanks again. I appreciate it.
Um, I was gonna say the biggest challenge for me, and to even to this day, I'm not too sure how I feel about the Up Tree Zelda podcast, because he was like that one episode where I wrote completely custom questions for him, because I had
Yeah,
already talked to him, and like obviously you also did the interview with him too, so I didn't want to make it anything redundant. But
yeah.
one of the biggest difficulties whenever you're talking to someone or like doing an interview, in my opinion, is asking questions not just the right way, but trying. It's like it's actually so hard not to create a narrative, or like to stir the person you're interviewing with a certain question. Um, like for example, let's say we took like your interview with like Ali at the end.
Yeah.
You actually asked one of those questions like, did video games play a big part in you learning English? Now that question is always kind of hard because like at the back of your mind, it's like, are you insinuating that like it's a cool narrative that video games were a big part of him learning English? Because that might not be the case at all. But like,
Hmm.
and I did that I feel like I insinuated so many narratives when talking to Aperture Zelda, and like I wasn't trying to, too.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like it's really hard asking questions the correct way without trying to insinuate an answer or a storyline. I don't know if you relate to that.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Well, that particular question is just because I know so many people did learn English
Oh
through
yeah,
gaming,
yeah, yeah, for sure.
and chat rooms and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I would say coming up with the questions was actually one of the more challenging parts. I don't know if that's you agree with that, because
Yeah.
you do the same. But I definitely, before the show, I would just open up a Word doc and write down all the questions I could.
Yep.
And sometimes that was an easy thing to do, and sometimes it really was not.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it showed in some of the interviews I did. I would say the one I think was the most sloppy and unprepared, and it's probably the most embarrassing for a few reasons, or it's for sure up there, was when I talked to In Control. A couple reasons
Okay.
I just wasn't prepared as I should have been. One,
Mm-hmm.
two, or I was a little nervous than I ever was because I didn't know Jeff like I knew other people.
I felt the same with
And
Upper too. And like on
yeah,
that day, I feel like how I was talking particularly was so sloppy. I feel like I was talking as poorly, and like no offense to him, but like I feel like I was talking as poorly as like XQC because he's also French Canadian. But every time that guy fucking talks, I swear to God, his sentences make no fucking sense. They have like
yeah,
no punctuation. I felt like I was talking like that, so I totally feel like you're sometimes you're on an off day and you're kind of nervous because you haven't really talked to this person you kind of look up to or is a big figure, and then also
yeah,
the questions aren't like landing kind of the way you thought you would, and it's like
yeah.
fuck.
It's
Yeah,
definitely it's a lot more challenging than you'd think.
yeah,
Really,
yeah.
like it's not a total walk in the park. It's not the hardest thing ever. Like I'd say it's easier than learning out of the map editor, for example, but
Mm-hmm.
it's uh it's not easy.
Yeah, I think though what I did notice between episode one and the last episode was and this is like I think probably the most important skill is questions on the fly, which is kind of
Yeah.
based trying to make questions based on what the person is immediately saying, or that builds on the question that you wrote down, but being able to like build on that with like more smaller questions keep it engaging and stuff like that. I think that's definitely a skill that um, is learned when you do a lot of these for sure.
Absolutely.
But yeah, sometimes it can be rough, but sometimes it just like flows, and you're like, wow, I did not expect to click this much with this person. I don't know if you've had any of those experiences as well. Was there any podcast that kind of you were just kind of like, oh shit, wait, this is going super fucking well. Like what the hell?
Yeah, I think one of the ones that I am proud of, I guess, or I just feel like it went well and smooth,
Mm,
was with Neuro.
mm,
First of all, we did that one live, which was I think it was the only one I did live.
mm-hmm,
So that was had it came with its own set of challenges. Uh, but like in terms of the interview, like it just flowed. Neuro is obviously awesome at talking and presenting his thoughts. He's particularly gifted at that,
mm,
um and he had nothing but good things to say after the show, which is what made me feel good. Like it went
mm,
well. Like he appreciated the show as much as I appreciated him doing the show. And I'm happy for that because that's really the goal, is that we both feel like we put something out there that's actually interesting, or actually is not hasn't been discussed before, and
yeah.
is kind of novel good content.
Mm-hmm,
Whereas with In Control, I feel like I stumbled through, or I had asked stuff that he's answered 100 times, or even
mm-hmm.
I kind of did the same thing with Zombie Grub, where I'm like, "Oh, how'd you start casting?" And she's like, "Here we go again."
Kind of, yeah, yeah.
Um, you know, uh, so it's
That's
they
actually,
vary.
yeah, that is actually one of the bigger challenges too, is when you get someone that's actually has done a lot of interviews, and then how do you
Hmm.
ask questions that aren't, well, first of all, that like aren't the same, But at the same time, you can't just start with a question that's like already super deep into another subject. Like you got to build your way through an interview as well. So,
Yeah.
yeah, because one of the people I might want to try and get in the last couple episodes of my podcast is Artosis, but Artosis has done a bajillion fucking interviews, dude.
Yes, he
So
has.
so what I'm gonna have to do, and I've done this with Uppetry as well, is that I have to listen to every single interview he's done and figure out what I have asked in the place of the interviewers and what questions has he never answered before. Or
Yeah.
yeah, that's gonna be a challenge because I'll have like 50 hours of like fucking interviews to listen to. But
Yeah, for sure.
but I mean, I think that's my strategy to like get some people on, is like to ask questions that like I let them know like I've seen all of your interviews. I think there's some questions that I've yet to be discussed. Maybe we
Yeah,
can
man.
get on and stuff like that. So
And not, and
yeah,
as time goes on, things change too.
yeah,
His situation could change,
hmm
everything can change, and there's new questions to ask.
yeah.
But yeah, man, that's definitely one of the most difficult targets
Oh yeah,
you
yeah,
could get in terms of pulling off something unique.
yeah, yeah. Um, yeah. So Nero was awesome. Apparently, apparently, I don't think I've ever talked to him directly. The only interaction I've had with Nero is proxy 2-raxing him on ladder. That's that's pretty much the limit to it. Well, to be fair, he was 1,000 MMR above me. So what choice did I have? Okay.
Fair enough. Did you win?
Nah.
Oh.
He's too smart. He knows exactly like when to pull, how much to pull. He knows all those small stats, you know.
Yeah, he's pretty
Those,
good.
especially
I'd say.
when you make educational videos, it really opens your eyes to like you actually learn so much yourself when you make educational videos. Like you realize like the details and everything you're saying, and you know it's kind of your responsibility to say something that's pretty accurate and to demonstrate it as well, and like how to hold bunker rushes and cannon rushes. Like when he would do those tutorials, I was like, this is actually very nice to know. So
Totally.
so you know it's no biggies for him to hold those as well. Yeah.
Nero's fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you peaked at like 4,500. Was there anyone that you met on ladder that have you ever bumped into any like streamer or personality of StarCraft on the ladder at any point? I wonder.
No one, I think, no one like who's really good, because
Mm.
I never got too high up on the ladder.
Mm.
I ran into Tempo. He beat me pretty good.
Tempo, yeah, yeah,
When the Legacy of the Void beta, again, I was lucky enough to be able to play the beta, and it wasn't open to many people at the very first wave.
yeah. Oh no,
So
yeah.
I ran into 4GG, and he
Jesus.
smacked me up real bad.
Yeah.
I lost rather quickly. I've played against other very strong players at LANs, so
Mhm.
like I'll go to a LAN and play in the open bracket for fun.
Mhm.
So I one time I beat my opponent. We know Laughing Games. He actually turned into a content creator, but at the time
Yeah, true. Yeah.
he was not casting so much. But I played Laughing Games the tournament, and he was higher ranked than me. I really got lucky, but I ended up taking him out, and the next person in the bracket was Hydra. So
Hi.
Hydra,
Yeah. Hi. Oh shit. Yeah. Hydra.
oh, dude,
Yeah.
he was a very strong Zerg at the
Yep.
time, and I couldn't touch him, man. I
Mm.
couldn't. I don't think I like dealt any damage to any of his units or something.
Oh no.
He was
Yeah.
too good. I went Hellbat. He went. He knew what to do, and the muta showed up. I couldn't touch him. I don't think I, and like his queens didn't never got damage. He's just too good.
Yeah. Of course. I mean,
Uh,
when you're talking about
so
Hydra, you mean like Lilbo versus Hydra, right?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that's not happening.
yeah,
He was
Korean player.
super
So
good, yeah.
he was insane. And then when I lost to Hydra, I got to play Heart, Axiom's Heart.
Dude, I played him too, except on ladder he was smurfing. I got him somehow.
Oh,
And then when he destroyed me in 4 minutes, I stole his build and my TVT was the best since then.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a little happier with my game versus Hart, just in the sense that I had a clean timing that I had practiced.
Mhm.
And when I got to his base with the time, like I hit the timing, and he had to pull workers to defend. So I was happy.
Oh,
I was like, oh, I got him to pull.
pull
Like he was like, oh
workers.
shit. I had him going for a second,
Yeah.
but he cleaned up the push and killed me promptly
Yeah,
right
yeah,
after.
yeah. But just
So
just
so
making him pull
yeah.
SVs, you won. You won. It's fine.
Yeah, well,
The
I was
moral
happy that
victory.
like, oh, like we're actually playing a game. Like I'm doing something.
Yeah.
He's not just rolling me over, and it's not.
Hmm.
I don't want to say it's not a total embarrassment because it kind of was. Like he pushed me around real good, but at least we played a game. Whereas versus Hydra, like I felt like I couldn't even get him to do it. Like
Yeah.
he was chilling. He was chilling the whole time.
Yeah, he didn't even notice you were in the same game, but but the other one it was like you're both boxing and you saw Ida. You could kind of see into his
Yeah.
eyes like, yeah.
Right after he held that push, though, he just crushed me, and then I don't even remember. I don't actually remember our second game because it was. I don't remember if we even played one, but uh, yeah, he was angry too when Hart was in that stage of the bracket because he had lost to No Regret, and
Oh, yeah.
he No Regret had done some rushes as we all know he likes to do,
Yep.
and he had beaten Hart, and he didn't like that at all.
Nope.
Yeah.
Damn.
So he didn't talk to me or anything like when I went to say GG or anything. Like, he didn't
Yeah.
he didn't feel like talking, and you know what? That's okay. I get that.
That's all good, yeah, for sure. Yeah, so that was like at a live event, right?
Yeah, I was at Base Trades Hell It's a Boot Time event in Toronto. Actually, is the only time I
Oh,
went there.
shit, nice.
That's where I met Uppetry too, who before he was streaming at the time, but his stream was smaller than it is now. So
what
it
year?
was really
Wait,
cool to meet him
what year was
and
that?
see his 2015.
15. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That was like a year after he really promptly doing the StarCraft memes, because I think
Yeah, I
2013,
mean,
2013 into 14 he was doing some Zelda shit, and then 14 and on he started StarCraft.
yeah,
Yeah.
he was just starting to really commit. And then I remember meeting him, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm an up and coming streamer. I'm really
Up
streaming." And
and
I
coming
gave him
streamer, nice. Yeah.
this look like, "Okay, okay, bud." And then
Yeah.
he started talking to me more, and he's like, "Yeah, man, other streamers don't know anything about coding. They don't know anything about this, that, and the other." And I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, he is really serious about this. Like, he's not just another dude
Yeah.
who's like, I'm gonna stream and my stream is gonna be awesome." He actually I could tell after talking to him for a bit that he had more ambition than I had seen from your
Oh,
typical.
yeah. 100%. Yeah. Well, I mean,
And he's
hence
doing great. I'm very proud
I
of
was
him.
gonna say, hence why you talk about audio a lot. But yeah, that guy's on production is absolutely insane. And this is one of my favorite like Uppetry quotes. And I say quote, but I can't quote it verbatim. But like it was something along the lines of other StarCraft streamers would be amazing if they could code a fucking line. Like could just code minimally anything. Like
Yeah, that's what
streams
he
would be
told
so
me.
much
That's the
better.
same thing he told
Oh
me
really? Yeah.
at the base trade event, and I
Yeah.
was like, oh, this guy does the coding for his stream, and like, just not that oh, you can script, so you must be amazing, but it's like that's an extra level and effort that other people are not putting in,
Yeah.
and it shows
Mhm.
in his stream, and I think when I was talking to him, I was like, okay, well, maybe he's taking this a little more seriously than I thought.
Mm. All right. I guess we're start to slowly wrap it up, but you've been involved, in the StarCraft community for a very long time. One of the things that I've just learned recently that you did is you're also like a moderator on the Frost Giant subreddit or something like that.
Yeah.
So I was just like, what the fuck does this guy do? So I was just wondering, like, how have you been involved with like StarCraft and RTS community like throughout the years? Has it been like mostly YouTube? Did you like do a lot of modding
That's
for
a
other
good
people, or
question.
yeah, because you just seem to be
I
everywhere,
think
kind of.
the most the place where I submit the most, where I like contributed the most, was on Reddit StarCraft.
Mm.
Like my account on Reddit StarCraft, if you add up post and comment karma, is like over 100,000 just from Reddit StarCraft.
Mm.
That's a lot. That's a lot. I would say that's more than most people.
Yeah.
So I was really contributing a lot to Reddit StarCraft. When I had met some of the mods in person at BlizzCon, they like thanked me. They were like, "Thank you for posting so much and not just posting garbage, right? Like putting some thought into it." So I think I really kind of made a name, some sort of name for myself on Reddit, where I remember one year they had a contest where like vote for the best Redditor or something, like the most helpful StarCraft user, and I remember like narrowly beating out Destiny, who was like the most popular streamer at the time.
Shit,
And
dude.
I was like, oh, okay, wow, like people are actually noticing that I really do work to contribute, even though it's all volunteer, right? And it's all to be out of love for Reddit StarCraft. Like it was my favorite place
Yeah.
to visit, and I realized that people will give you a positive reception if you post something interesting. So like that was where I got a lot of my reinforcement just from Reddit. Like I was really pleased to see that people commenting and voting and engaging positively with my posts. So
Mm-hmm.
that was a big thing that encouraged me. YouTube, I definitely had some success, but I really think I've half-assed my YouTube channel, and I should or could have taken it much more seriously, especially recently where everyone has started to lean heavier on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I could have done a bit better there, but yeah, to answer your question is Reddit is really where I think I staked I put my flag in the ground and said,
Mm-hmm.
hey, like I'm here to contribute, and
Yeah.
that's where I post I still post anything I think is good. I'm gonna post it there.
Yeah, for sure.
So
It's like the flip side to TL.net, which there it's all about kind of like
yeah,
there is that kind of like the forums, the streams, the news, and then you go to Reddit and it's like everything funny, everything online contenty, and everything. It's like everything else that wasn't TL.net. So
right,
it is like a huge part of StarCraft's identity for sure. So keeping
yeah,
the Reddit alive is super important. Yeah.
absolutely. And I know Reddit gets loves to people love to hate on Reddit, and I think for plenty of good reasons.
For
But
sure. Yeah.
I I found it much more preferable community to post in as opposed to Team Liquid's forums, where I thought they were a little too heavy-handed in banning, and I thought I didn't. The number one thing that turned me off from Team Liquid is their curated list of streams. I didn't
Mm.
like that someone's picking what streams to watch
Yeah.
for me, so I just go to Twitch. And the same thing with the forums. I didn't like that they were so curating what people are allowed to post.
Mm-hmm.
Like, dude, it's way more interesting in my opinion, even when you get the shitty posts on Reddit or whatever. Like, it's way more interesting to just see
Mm.
what people are thinking, good or bad, ugly.
Yeah.
Obviously you got to remove stuff that's really out of line,
Yeah.
but like I much prefer a more loose moderating style.
Mm-hmm.
uh and that's why I always turn to Reddit instead of Team Liquid. And I know it's a bit of a cliche, like people love to complain about Team Liquid's mods, but it's more than just their moderation. It was just the feeling that it was censored to me. I felt like
Mm.
Team Liquid was too censored, and Reddit was basically a free for all, and I liked that.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, if your post wasn't good, then it just won't really make
Exactly,
front page
it
anyway.
wouldn't
So
get the attention.
you can
Yeah,
still
I
do
like
it.
that too.
Yeah, so you can just do it. But if it doesn't work, then like nobody's gonna be forced. Well, I'm not. Nobody's gonna be forced, but you're not really gonna see it because and
Yeah,
if
for
it's
the
good,
most
it's just
part,
gonna
it
rise to the
just won't get
surface.
any
Yeah,
attention. So
exactly.
that's
Yeah,
yeah.
that seems a lot more fair. For
Feel a
sure.
lot more democratic, absolutely.
Yeah. And like, how are you kind of involved nowadays? What was that thing you were making for TSL 6? And can you talk? Yeah, can you just talk to us
Oh
about that?
right, yeah.
Yeah.
So oh boy, the TSL. So shout out to Shopify first of all for hiring me. Shout out to Dario TLO for working with me and coming up with the idea at all and getting Shopify to work with me because he's a Shopify employee now.
Mm-hmm.
So God bless them for taking me on and wanting to do this. I think it's been pretty good. It's really new. I just released the mod yesterday, and right now it's exclusive for TSL 6, Team Liquid's event, their tournament that's running
Mm-hmm.
right now. And I am very upon release, I was very 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 proud, and I was very sure of what we had put out. Um, I did have a little embarrassing screw ups in two games. There were two games yesterday where it was doing things it should definitely not have been doing. One game in particular had a very bad bug that really upset me, but that's on me,
Yeah.
and that's too bad for so sad for me. But overall, I'm pretty happy. But as I've looked at the response and looked through the criticism of the mod, I can't help but agree with a lot of the critique I'm reading, and I think now that there's more work to be done. But I have to say, overall, I am thrilled with what I can do now because I never thought I would ever be able to make an observer interface or an observer mod that would ever really get used. I never saw myself
Mm-hmm.
getting to that level. So I still am rather proud. I still am excited for the future. I think
Yeah.
there's more to come in terms of making observer experience more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of where my thoughts are on that. But again, big thank you to Shopify, big thank you to TLO, and the other people who helped me with some minor details.
And I really do hope that we keep adding these mods to the StarCraft Observer. Like when we had the total units lost, like with the icons and everything, not just the graph, not just the
Yeah,
numbers of like resources lost. That just sucks. But like, and then there's also the income graphic that's so cool as well.
yeah,
With what you made as well, I believe it's somewhat like of an wait, I forget. It's kind of like an army lost or something like that.
yeah,
Or like
yeah.
it's like a real time engagement kind of analysis.
So you can pull it
Yeah.
up in real time, but one of the big complaints, and I think this is a really legit issue, is that it obscures the game almost entirely. It's
Hmm.
too big. There's a lot of wasted space.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
for
the goal of it would kind of be just to pull it up after a fight, right?
after the fight,
Yeah.
correct. So when we were making this thing, we really that's what we wanted is there would be a battle, and then the two guys would go back and kind of hang out.
Hmm.
And then during that lull in the action, you could look at an interesting statistics screen. And
Hmm.
I think we did accomplish that for sure on some level. But again, I can't help but agree with some of the criticism and suggestions we've been getting
Hmm.
to make it more usable and more friendly to other tournaments or any tournament really.
Hmm.
That being said, I think it's still an exciting. I think it's exciting, and I hope that we can continue. You know, I hope we can fix it up to the point that it's not just used this one time and never again.
Yeah. Well, it's exciting that like even you or just anybody could just add on shit if it's like well made and it's useful. You can just add on shit to Observer. Like there's one thing I've been
Yeah,
thinking about for years, and I wish it had this because there's semi similar stuff in other games, but I wish there was like those meters I think in Game Heart. It's not even Game Heart. I think it's just regular WCS. But you'd have like the it's like a Kamehameha like beam clash meter with like APM or also with like
yeah,
workers and stuff
yep,
like that. I actually really love that concept, but I was thinking, what if it was like vertical instead of horizontal? You put it off to the
yeah,
side, and there was two things I would love to see in there. It would be DPS. So the DPS throughout for a whole player throughout the entire map, like in a big fight, how much damage are you dealing out per second? And maybe
yeah,
another meter where it's like, what is the total health of all your army units together? Like, I feel
yeah,
like that would be just so interesting. And like a fight would happen, then you'd see the meter like going back and forth. Like, okay, this guy is like 4,000 DPS right now. He is out beating him, and it's like, ah, shit. I would love to have that
yeah.
shit. And just to know that,
I
like,
agree.
yeah, just to know that like you can just code shit with like to understand what's happening in the game, or like even post battle, like who won that fight, like how is that good for a certain player. It just like makes me hopeful for all the things that we could do, like on top of the
Same.
observer editor. Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
there's so much potential in my opinion. I do want to express something I brought up earlier, which is like I'm really sad I didn't figure this out earlier, right? Because it's pretty late in the life of StarCraft 2, but at the same time, I think we're just have plenty more events to come. So
Better late than never, doesn't really matter as long as we have it
yeah,
now. Yeah.
absolutely. But yeah, I can't help but agree with you like really strongly that there is potential for some very interesting metrics on the screen that are just not there and are
Mhm.
absolutely possible.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And any with that said, with all the potential and stuff like that, do you have any plans for the future? Any things you're looking forward to? Because there's at least still 3 years of hard competitive StarCraft left, right?
Oh
Um,
yeah.
of course, maybe even after that, StarCraft will probably just live on through content creation just generally, but
Oh yeah,
as
it's not just gonna disappear. There's no question about that.
yeah, for sure,
So,
it's too hardcore of a game for sure. Yeah, but yeah, any plans?
I'm definitely working a lot in the background now.
Hmm.
I don't know what's coming next in terms of observer modding. I can say I'm already looking into the future and looking into what else could enhance the observer experience. But again, I've already learned a lot in just one day of reading the response to what we've done so far, and
Hmm.
that's definitely gonna be taken into account. Well, I'm trying to think. The micro tournament that I discussed earlier, I
Mhm.
want like I put in some serious time and some serious effort in that, and it's actually like somewhat functional. So I'd really
Mhm.
like to make that happen, because I'd like to release an arcade game that actually gets some use and is fun, and like the arcade is really short on good games, especially games that cater to 1v1 players.
Mhm.
So that's something I'd like to revisit. The timeline is really a question there. I'm trying to think what else I can talk about in
Mhm.
terms of projects. I mean, the truth is I don't have any dates right now for another release. But I have a bunch of stuff on the shelf, or even that I'm still slowly cooking up.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna like there's not any stopping anytime soon in terms of things that are gonna come out. I don't really feel like I can say too much on specifics, because I don't want to build up hype,
Mhm.
for something that may not come out for quite a while.
Yeah. Um, I was for the micro tournament thing. I was actually thinking too. It's you can pretty much pick that back up whenever you want, right? Kind of. It's kind of just on the side.
Yeah, again, it really comes down to the time, like how much time can I
Mm-hmm.
put into it now that I'm working with Artosis and other
Yeah.
people that I'm working with. And like what how can I get some kind of return on my time,
Yeah.
right? And I've thought about doing a fundraiser. I've thought about maybe streaming development, but I'd really like to. I really need at this point to get more support than just players playing the mod
Oh yeah,
or the
for sure. Yeah.
game. That's a big roadblock,
Yeah.
but I don't think it's anything I can't overcome.
Well, I
So
mean,
I just need to
since it's
to
a,
set.
I was gonna say since it's kind of a tournament format of mic like macro tournament. Also, that just seems really difficult to balance just on its own. I have no idea
Yeah,
how you guys
well
manage that, but
that's why
yeah.
I needed BCQD, and not just but we needed other high level players to actually do the balancing. Like I know, again, I could get up to masters, and I'm rather familiar with the units and their interactions and what some good ones would be,
Mhm.
but I'm not at the top level, and those guys will absolutely have insights that I just don't, in terms of interesting matchups or balance.
Mhm. So yeah, I was gonna go. I was gonna say like, what if you maybe make like a kind of a fundraiser where, you would like finance a tournament and you just get like a bunch of streamers just to play in the fucking micro tournament, and then all of their communities would kind of collide together and kind of just watch their streamer. Like imagine Up versus Livy in a micro challenge, and it's like, goddamn, that
That's a
that
good idea,
that would be
man.
yeah, that'd be hilarious. Yeah, I feel like that's one of the things. You would have to like make a game mode go viral, a la like Among Us or
Yeah,
something like that, where
it would
just
have to
all
be
the streamers
good.
come
It would have to
together.
be done.
Yeah, and the thing is that also micro tournaments can be hilarious too. Like there's a lot
Oh
of like
yeah,
very good content that can come out of it. Yeah, it just has to be fun. I
absolutely.
think it just has to be fun, and then you just get a bunch of streamers, and they'll be like, "Holy shit, this is gonna be yeah, this would sound super fun."
Yeah,
Um,
that's a terrific idea for an event, honestly. Like imagining if the map was finished and in a good spot, and
yeah,
then putting up some money for people to compete for. I think this is a fantastic idea.
yeah, yeah, for sure. I think there's a lot of potential because like there has been some like micro-ish tournaments, not tournaments but like modes.
Yeah.
They're not super aesthetically good. They're kind of just put together. They just kind of give you units. But like if there was like a really cool interface where it's like and it's like fun, it's nice, and it's intuitive, and like a lot of people can just get together and like just make content out of it. Like that would be the dream. Like can other content creators make content with your content? Like that's I feel like that
Right.
could be a thing. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No. Really good points.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Um. Anyway, I think that's pretty much it. We've been on for like an hour 40. Jesus, that this I think this is the third longest podcast I've done so far. So
Oh, cool,
that
man.
is
Yeah, I mean, this absolutely flew by. I thank you so much again. Like I could always talk about myself, right? But
for sure. I mean,
I
there's
am
so much
rather proud of
history.
a lot of the things I've managed to pull off, and how far I've come from just a fan to maybe somewhere between a fan. Like I'm still obviously a huge fan, but I think
Mm,
I've elevated myself to some form of content creator, no doubt.
yeah.
And it's been a massive part of my life. This journey, like, I wouldn't be living where I am now. I wouldn't have the job I have now, my
Mhm.
little 9 to 5 IT job. I wouldn't have any of this stuff without the work I've done within StarCraft 2. It's really changed my life. It's kind of cliche, like a lot of people will say that, especially content creators, but
Yeah.
it does apply to me too.
I mean, all content creators, they weren't programmers before. They weren't like pro gamers before. At base, the
Mhm.
pre-evolution of every content creator is being a fan. I think those are the those are all
No doubt.
their base forms, and then from there, they make some content. Some of it works, and they're like, shit. Well, I gotta make more, and then it just goes from there.
Yeah,
For
absolutely.
sure. Yeah. Anyway, thanks so much for coming on. I'll continue to watch your shit and watch out for your name on Reddit because
All right. Well,
that keeps
thank you
happening.
so much, Necro. I appreciate it, man. This was really, again, I really had a great time, and I know we've only talked briefly, but it's been really nice. So thank you again.
All right, see you, man. Thanks.
Take care.